Okay, now let's discuss first century Roman armor and even first century BC, first century AD Roman armor as it pertains, because when it's spoken of in the Gospels, that's what we would be looking at. What we have here is a mannequin outfitted with what a first century Roman foot soldier, legionnaire, would have worn. And as we begin to look here, we see his helmet, and it has these protective sides to protect the cheeks, but it has a slotted area here so they could hear the commands of the commander in the battle. It had a shield up here to ward off any blows from the top. And if you look at the back of the helmet, gave ample protection to the back of the neck area. Then moving down, we have the body chest armor, and that is called Lorica Segmenta. Lorica meaning armor in the Latin. And we see that it is segmented into these different sections. Now, a Roman general would have worn just a brass chest plate and cavalry, but the Roman foot soldier wore this type of armor, and centurions. Now, this gave the most protection, although it was more expensive to make than the other types of armor. And so we see the Roman Empire at its growing height that they used this type. And you can see this type of armor on Trajan's column in Rome if you go there. And it offered protection from the shoulders to the front to the back, all the way around. And then below that is a belt, and that would protect the loin area. In the winter times, they would wear leggings that would cover the legs. And then they would have their shield. And the typical Roman shield of this period was semicircular here, and it was made from wood, normally covered with leather on the outside, that could be made wet before going into battle to quench any darts. On the shield here, as you look at that, that is called a shield boss. That could be used as an offensive weapon. And I'll show you a close-up of one that was discovered in the Thames River. And on this particular shield boss, the soldier engraved different things, and he worshiped the god Mars and engraved that on his shield boss itself. And then it had his name on the reverse side, which this one doesn't. This is a replica. And it is in a museum, the original, today. Now, as we go down to the feet, we see that they are covered with what is called the Roman Caligula. And if you recall, there's an emperor that's named Caligula, and his name means little boots. And we see that this shoe, there was none like it in the ancient world. It is made from one piece of leather, and then there is a wooden plank that is put between the leather, and then these are nailed in so that there would be studs on the bottom of the sole of the shoe. So think of that when you read in the scriptures, therefore remain ye steadfast. The Roman soldier could stand their ground in most types of soils when others had difficulty. In the wintertime, these would be covered with animal hides and to protect the feet. Having your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel. There's no other footwear like that in ancient history. In conjunction with the Roman shield, the shield of faith, was used the Roman Gladius Sword. The Roman Gladius Sword is a sharp, two-edged sword with sort of a diamond-pointed tip going down where it's a little bit broader there. And it was designed to be used in conjunction with the shield. And a Roman soldier did not wield their gladius sword over their heads. It was a stabbing weapon. and it was designed that you would use and protect yourself with your shield and thrust forward. And if you're in a lengthy battle, this is a much easier motion for a lengthy battle than to wave your arms around and get tired. And the sword did the work. Now, when you think of our sword as a Christian, and it is the Word, we let the Word do the work, because it is a sharp two-edged sword dividing between joint and marrow, and it is able to cut to the heart and distinguish the thoughts of men. Now, as we look at this sword, it was written by a Roman writer, and if this was a real sharpened sword, I would have cut myself, that anywhere in the torso area that this blade would go into, and the soldiers were well trained in human anatomy, that if this went into anywhere on the torso, that the victim would bleed to death. Now, not mentioned in Ephesians chapter 6 is another piece of weaponry that the Roman soldier would have used, and this is a pilum. And a pilum is a spear. It would have been used at the cross. They would sometimes carry two of these, and the iron part was somehow mingled with lead, and you find these pieces, these upright pieces, all throughout Europe and places where Romans had battles, and they're bent. They're designed to be thrown one time, and then they would bend. First of all, if you threw it at your enemy and missed, they could not throw it back at you. Secondly, preferably, if you hit the enemy's shield and it would bend, they could not get it out of their shield in the battle, and they would drop the shield down, and then they would be more exposed for the Roman soldier to go at them. Now, I want to make a couple of references to some actual battles and how one particular centurion, when two Roman armies came against each other, one was Julius Caesar, and there was a battle, and the Roman Senate was against Julius Caesar at that time. And so they sent out a general, and in that battle, which was a civil war, there is a Roman centurion named Sceva, Lucius Sceva, and in that battle, he was charged with defending a flank. The other commanders had fallen, and he alone almost was left to defend that area. He used his shield and his sword. And in that battle, he was struck in the eye, he was struck in the shoulder, and he was struck in the thigh. But he still maintained the flank. And so the battle was pretty much a draw. But it also showed the dedication that he had to his commander, Julius Caesar, who had told him to hold the line. After the battle, in his shield, there was counted over 120 arrows in that shield. Now, when you consider what Paul writes, that our shield of faith, which is able to quench all the fiery darts of the evil one. And when we consider having our feet shod with the preparation of the gospel, and our breastplate of righteousness, our loins girded about with truth, and the helmet of salvation. In 1 Thessalonians, Paul refers to it as the helmet of the hope of salvation. We never want to lose hope, and we want to protect that hope at all costs. That's why we're doing these videos, so you can rest assured in your faith that the Word of God is in fact inspired Word of God. Never lose that hope. This will protect you in battle, the righteousness living daily. And the shield. Now, if you were in battle as a Roman soldier, but now think of yourself as the Christian soldier, you wouldn't want the person beside you to not have their shield, because these shields could interlock and help protect one another. When they were showered with arrows, they could lift these shields up over their heads and protect themselves as a unit. So when you see someone that's wavering in their faith, you would want to help them with their faith so that they can stand with you against the fiery darts of the wicked one. So again, you don't want to leave your armor at home. You would wear it at all times. You don't want to save your armor just to go on parades, but you would want to use your armor daily, because we know that the devil is a roaring lion, and he seeks that opportunity to strike us when we are most vulnerable. So always keep on this armor of God.